So things very much hotting up for Newcastle United in the summer transfer window. It has to be said, Hugo Ekitike is definitely on Newcastle's radar. We've known that for a long time. We've known Newcastle have tried to sign this player before. We've known that the player himself has got as far as discussing personal terms with Newcastle in the past, and now Newcastle seem ready to really step up that interest. And I think really for me, this, regardless of how it completely unfolds, it just shows you that level of you know for me, it shows the level of ambition. It shows where Newcastle United are. It shows you that they've gone and got Anthony Elanga. They've vowed to keep Alexander Isak, and they're now trying to get Ekitike, which would be, probably one of the most feared strike forces in the Premier League. There's no doubt about it. But they've got to go and do the business now. I don't think Newcastle really wanted this information to be out there, but I think in Germany that's exactly what is being reported, because Newcastle appear to have been over to Germany last week to get this going. But again, not a new name. I mean, it's not anything that's blown anyone away. But I think the fact that Newcastle's level of interest, they've obviously been trying to get it done under the radar, as they do with all transfers. But where they are now is that they've probably got to motor on with this, because it looks like it's really alerted the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Manchester United. I've been looking at all the reports in Germany this morning. They've also gone very big on Ekitike. They're basically saying to me that yes, Newcastle are interested, but also there are rivals for this signature, and there's no doubt about it. Newcastle, they're in a similar situation as they were with João Pedro. They wanted him. They put their bid in. They spoke to the agent, and then they got sort of gazumped by Chelsea at the last. You can argue all day about how Chelsea was always his preferred destination, and that might well be the case. But the fact Chelsea came in at the end and through the sort of demands on the table and got the deal done, says a lot about Newcastle United in terms of what they try to do in terms of keeping it under the radar. Looks like they've tried that with this one, but unfortunately, there's other teams going to be interested inevitably. At the end of last season in Frankfurt, the talk was that Ekitike would potentially be his last season. Had a great season. I think Newcastle continued to watch him last year. They flew over to Germany on a number of occasions to see where he was at, to see how he'd sort of not recovered, but see how he was progressing after things didn't quite work at PSG. So yeah, definitely a player that Eddie Howe would love to sign, and I think Newcastle's sort of headlining transfers this summer would be pretty much complete if they managed to sign Ekitike to go with Elanga and keep Isak. That would be, the three headline acts in the Premier League next season for Newcastle United. Look, there's a long way to go on this one, but it's great that Newcastle are showing the ambition. I think if they can get this deal done, then you've got to say that they'd certainly be at least Champions League candidates again for the top four. Whether they can take that step further, that has to be the next logical step for Newcastle. Can they challenge for the Premier League title? They went into the second last game last season, still in with a shout of finishing second place. I mean, ultimately they end up finishing fifth, but they still got where they needed to go. But I think what was demonstrated as the season was sort of coming to a close was, there wasn't a strength in depth, and Newcastle cannot go into this season low on forwards. Callum Wilson is gone now. Isak is there, but Isak can't do it all on himself. And you have got Will Asula. He's still got work to do. He got his opportunities last season. He's been patient, but he's still got work to do. And I think he knows that this season's going to be a big challenge. It looks like Newcastle aren't going to loan him out. I mean, that would be a crazy thing to do anyway, given the summer he's had with Denmark under 21s, but Newcastle do need that sort of next level sort of signing to take them into the new season, and it's going to be an exciting week. And now we, we wait to see if Newcastle can, strike this deal. I mean, the fees being bandied around. I mean, we've seen £86 million release clause. There's other sources saying, it could be done for less, but Frankfurt are going to try and hold out for the biggest fee they can get. It's, they're in the driving seat really because he's under contract. So Newcastle will have to, break the club record. That's where they are. They're gonna have to break the club record to get this deal done. It would be one for me where, we talk about marquee signings, we talk about fans celebrating the arrival of players. This fits right into that category. Um, you know, Alan Shearer back in the day, Michael Owen, although it didn't really work out, there was still 10,000 fans going up to St James's Park to see these players unveiled, probably more for Alan Shearer. I think that this really, when you look at it, would be a marquee signing. There's no doubt about that. And it would take Newcastle to the next level, but they've got to get it done. Where does it leave the other sort of targets? I mean, still Newcastle remain active, talking about the goalkeeper, James Trafford with Burnley. And really, there'd probably be outgoing business if this deal with Ekitike gets done. There would have to be, because PSR, the way it is, this was a deal that people probably didn't expect Newcastle to do without selling a big name. It's a deal that Newcastle would have to get done, but there would be exits. We know Sean Longstaff's been linked with the exit. Anthony Gordon earlier in the window, although that would be the controversial one if Anthony Gordon did go. I mean, Liverpool linked again, but you just wonder how this would impact the rest of the squad, impact the rest of the window. But certainly we knew there was going to be exits anyway. Newcastle cannot really carry the amount of players they've got on high wages and keep bringing in sort of big hitters just because of the PSR situation. So that's where Newcastle seem to be with this one. I think, as I say, it would be celebrated. But realistically, for Newcastle now, it's just a case of getting it done if they can. But there's going to be rivalry. But yeah, it would cap what's been a decent window so far with Elanga. And let's not forget, we can get excited about the front three as it stands at the moment. Because Gordon, Isak, and Elanga would be a fearsome front three. This would take it to the next level. There's no doubt about that. But it's one that it's not just Newcastle media talking about this now. It's the whole of Europe. It's everywhere, this story. Newcastle really just trying to keep their heads down and getting business done. They're in Austria at the moment. They're training over there, but they're probably in a good place to get a deal done, kind of away from the cameras. This is not an open camp anyway for the media. In the past, when they've been to Austria, it's been one where the media were invited, but it looks like they want to get everything done under the radar in as much privacy as possible. And then, when the players got the shirt, then they feel like they can, go big with it. But at the minute, it is very hush hush. Internally, it's hush hush, but it is all over the media as well. So look, be a great deal if Newcastle could get it done, but it's progressing, and we're very much keeping an eye on it, and one that hopefully will be another piece in the jigsaw for Newcastle United.